Today on Grid Girls, we'll talk about Hailie Deegan's run at I-44 Speedway and how she came close to victory, Sophia Floersch, how her run is going in Formula 3 and what's coming up ahead for her, and Vicky Peria, competed in Nürburgring, will explain all about her weekend. Welcome to Grid Girls. Hello everyone, welcome to Grid Girls. Joe Samaniego here, Grid Network's newest program in conjunction with Racers, the Girls Behind the Helmet, with Daniel from Racers, the Girls Behind the Helmet. Daniel, how are you doing today?
Hello, good evening or good morning, everyone, where you're based. It's very good. We are approaching a new weekend of races and a lot of ladies racing again this weekend, so it's all good here.
Wonderful. We're very excited to have everyone join us today. A lot of racing news to cover. We have a lot of women racing around the world, and definitely for anyone in the chat room, we'd love to hear from you as well. And of course, if you know of a young girl, lady driving, racing across the local dirt tracks around the United States or the karting tracks in Europe or anywhere around the world, let us know. Get Twitter. We'd love to feature them sometime on this program as well. We'll start off in the United States, the ARCA Menard Series, a stock car division under the NASCAR Association, and that Hailie Deegan, she was running in the Zinsser Smart Code 200 at I-44 Speedway in Missouri. Now, of course, ARCA do run some big tracks, but they also do some of the short tracks. I-44 Speedway in Missouri is a very small track. Very much you see a lot of contact between the drivers, since with the stock cars you could beat and bang. Deegan made an early run up towards the front, but she made contact with Brett Holmes for the lead on lap 70. Brett Holmes did go around. Hailie Deegan did inherit the lead. She held the lead all the way past the halfway break until lap 155. But down the last lap, as she was running third place, as her car, the handling started going away, she was turned by Ty Gibbs for third place. She still managed to come home fifth place overall. So a great run by Hailie Deegan. Hailie is currently third in the points standings, 48 points behind Michael Self in the ARCA Menard Series. We'll definitely be following more about Hailie, but now we'll go to the next story in regards to Sophia. We'll go to Daniel.
Yeah, Sophia had in the Monza first best race this season in Maiden FIA Formula 3 season. She was P25 in qualifying. Unfortunately, she had very tough qualifying. As usual, Monza is very tricky for qualifying, with everyone trying to get the toe from the race from the racers ahead. And of course, Sophia had issues in qualifying. She couldn't complete any push lap because she was on new tires and she couldn't even complete one push lap at the end of qualifying. So she was starting very at the back of the pack. In the first race, she was P21, so she could make up a couple of positions. But the real breakthrough performance from her was in the second race, where she could finish P12. She actually was P13 across the line, but after a post-race penalty, she was classified P12. It's her best race of the season so far. Her previous best finish was in Hungary, where she was P14. This weekend, of course, she will have the last FIA Formula 3 race in Mugello, racing together with Formula 1, of course. She has it was a tough first season in FIA Formula 3 for Sophia. She moves up from the Formula Regional European Championship, where she was 7th last year. Of course, with Campos is not properly a front runner team, but I think she is improving a little bit race after race, and we'll see how she will finish the season this weekend in Mugello.
Yeah, very excited to see how she'll finish off the season in Mugello. Been great watching her perform all year long. Going back to the United States, Jennifer Jo Cobb, she participated in the Truck Series race at Darlington. Now, for the NASCAR Gander RV Outdoor Truck Series, they had not raced in Darlington in a long time. So it's going to be very challenging for the drivers to run the trucks at Darlington Speedway. One of the big things, of course, at Darlington is known as a track too tough to tame when it comes to NASCAR racing there. A lot of times you're racing right up against the wall, and so often a vehicle will hit the wall. Jennifer Jo Cobb running her equipment, she managed to come home 30th after starting 31st. So overall, pretty solid day for her. Of course, one of the big things, especially for the smaller teams in NASCAR, where it's in the trucks, the Xfinity, or even the Cup Series, taking care of their equipment, especially for a smaller team, that's the bigger goal. Finishing the race is always a great thing as well, but bringing it home in one piece. So overall, a good weekend for Jennifer Jo Cobb. She will be racing next weekend at Richmond when the Truck Series goes there for a night race at a short track for the NASCAR Gander RV Outdoor Truck Series. Also racing with her next week will be Natalie Decker. Natalie Decker, of course, is racing for Nice Motorsports over in the NASCAR Gander Outdoor Truck Series. So definitely, we're going to be following them. Encourage everyone to tune in next week. Now let's go to the latest news with about Vicky Perea.
Yes, Italian Vicky Perea. She was racing in the all-female Formula 3 Championship W Series last year. It was the first, the inaugural W Series season last year. She had a tough starting of the season in W Series. She was obviously out of a race car for 5 years. Last time she competed in a Formula race was in 2012, where she competed in the GP3 series, which is now the FIA Formula 3, together with Alice Powell and Carmen Corda that season. But after the first couple of races, she really improved a lot in W Series, and she could finish P9 at the end of the season with a couple of very good races in Misano and Brands Hatch, for instance. Last weekend, she was back in a Formula car in the Formula Renault Euro Cup, which uses the same Formula Tatus Formula 3 cars that are employed in the W Series and in the Formula Regional European Championships. Vicky, it was always going to be a very tough weekend for her, with a new team, a new engineer, new mechanics, no previous testing, no knowledge of the Nürburgring racetrack. Basically, she was called Thursday evening. She took a plane to the Nürburgring, and she competed on Friday morning. So it was very, very tough situation for Vicky. She completed the first race in P17 and the second one in P15. But I mean, the result wasn't really the thing to watch for that weekend. It was all about improving and making herself at home with both with the car and with the team. And of course, she was in the car because she was subbing in for Nicola Marinangeli, another Italian driver that was injured in a road accident. Actually, he broke his leg. Nothing too serious. We will be back next month for the Zolder round, but he will still be missing the Magny-Cours race in France this weekend. So Vicky, which was just racing in Nürburgring, actually got the call to do Magny-Cours as well. So she is traveling there. She was there today to test in Magny-Cours. Finally, she could get a pre-race testing. So I think the next weekend will be a little bit better for her. The Formula Renault Euro Cup series is very competitive. There are lots of really interesting drivers that are definitely going to make the jump to FIA Formula 3 next year. So really competitive series. And I think it was very good for Vicky after the W Series 2020 season got cancelled obviously for the coronavirus pandemic. So I think she was out of a race car for over a year actually, because the Brands Hatch finale was in August 2019. She could do a race a couple of months ago in the Smart E Cup, but obviously it was a totally different car. It was a street car, electric car actually. It was her first experience in an electric car, so totally different story. She could finally jump back in a Formula car last weekend, and we'll be back in the Magny-Cours this weekend. Sorry.
Yeah, It's very competitive there. Everyone trying to get the Formula 3. Always a lot of action going on. One of the drivers that saw a lot of action this weekend was Simona Di Silvestro. Simona was in the GT World Challenge at Nürburgring, and what a performance! Overall, coming in 8th place. That's gaining 15 positions from the start of the race. So an impressive finish. Of course, Simona has been racing all over the world as well too. Has done Indy cars, Formula E. Has been everywhere. So to see her in the GT World Challenge at Nürburgring, have a great finish as well in the race, really wonderful for her and for her career overall. And Simona is finding herself at home with the Porsche team as the GT driver, really enjoying that effort by her, and definitely it's really exciting to see her race. And to a reminder to all our viewers, as we talk about each drivers, you'll see their Twitter or Instagram handle, so that way you could follow them on social media and show you support their racing career. So we definitely encourage everyone to do that. Now let's go into some of the racing news coming from around the world.
Yeah, I think the biggest news this couple of last days was the news that Weisske will have to replace Catherine Legge at Le Mans as the FIA Motorsport supported program in the Richard Mille Racing LMP2 car that will race next weekend at the famous legendary 24-hour Le Mans. Weisske will have to replace Catherine. Catherine had a very big crash in Le Castellet at the beginning of the season, at the first pre-season testing actually. She went off at Signes, which is the fastest corner of the racetrack. She had to be extricated and was airlifted to a local hospital. She had a broken leg and an injured wrist. She's still recovering. At the beginning of this month, she was still in doubt. She hoped to be back for Le Mans. She's not going to make the big race. And so Weisske, that has raced with Tatiana Calderon in Spa-Francorchamps and has raced with Sophia Floersch in Le Castellet in the third round of the ELMS season, of the European Le Mans Series. Tatiana Calderon had the first race with André Negrão, which is a very experienced LMP2 racer racing for a Signatec team. Signatec is running the Richard Mille operation this year, which is, as I said, is run in conjunction with the FIA Women in Motorsport program. And Calderon raced the first weekend. They were P5 at the end. It was a very good performance from Tatiana. Then Weisske jumped in the car in Spa-Francorchamps. They were sixth again. Sophia Floersch couldn't race the first two rounds because she had the clashing commitments with the FIA Formula 3 Championship. But she was back and actually made her sports car debut in Le Castellet last time out. And they did pretty great, actually. They were running in contention for a P5, for a top 5 or top 6. They actually got a drive-through penalty, which brought them back to P10. They finished P11. Sophia did a 2 hour and 20 minute stint, which was impressive for a first time in the car. And they will all be back for Le Mans, both, actually, Sophia, Weisske, and Tatiana. Tatiana was not racing at the third round because she was racing, as we mentioned last weekend, in Japan with the Super Formula race. She was straight back to the airport after the race. She was back to Madrid, where she's living. Could complete the 14 days of quarantine. So she will be back next weekend in Le Mans with the Richard Mille Racing team, which is the first all-female crew in the LMP2 category. Last year, there was an all-female crew as well. They were racing the GTE class. It was named the Iron Danes project. They will be again in Le Mans next weekend. The team is composed of Rahel Frey, who is a really experienced GT driver, together with her, alongside with her, there will be also Manuela Gosner, who is a pretty experienced Italian GT driver as well, and then Michel Gatting, a Danish race driver. The Richard Mille Racing is actually a very interesting project. They will compete for the first time in a prototype class, all-female crew, and let's see how they will be performing next weekend. Another news that came up yesterday, it was about Jade Edwards. She's a British driver, and she will compete in the BTCC, the British Touring Car Championship, in 2 weeks' time in Silverstone, where she will be making her British Touring Car Championship debut for the Vauxhall team. It will be the first time that a woman will compete in the BTCC Championship since 2007. So it was a pretty big news for British motorsport and actually for European motorsport as well.
Yeah, very big news for British motorsports and all general motorsports. A lot of people were excited about it on social media, posting about it. So we were very excited to hear that news yesterday. Now, of course, some of the upcoming races we do have. Formula 3, Jamie Chadwick. She'll be over in Austria next weekend, returning back, targeting a top 5 finish after a slightly disappointing round at La Castellet last race weekend for her. So definitely she's looking to rebound over there in Austria in the Red Bull Ring. Now, of course, Daniel, we understand you got some colleagues or the racers, the girls behind the helmet, heading to Austria. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going to be some of the plans for everyone going to Austria?
Yeah, absolutely. I was personally at Le Castellet at the latest Formula Regional European Championship round, and my colleague Vivienne from Germany, which is our correspondent from Germany, will be in Austria. She's currently traveling. I just called her at phone, and she was traveling by train in Austria, and she will be there tomorrow morning just in time for the first practice session of the Formula Regional European Championship. As you said, the Jamie Chadwick is racing there this weekend, but also the Italian Formula 4 Championship is racing there this weekend with Hamda Al-Kubaisi, with an 18-year-old Arab lady, very interesting young girl. She made her debut in Austria last year. Last year, she only competed in Austria and at Monza, which was the last race of the Italian Formula 4 Championship. She raced alongside her sister Anna last year. Anna, of course, made headlines last year at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix at the end of November, where she won the race in conjunction with the Abu Dhabi Formula 1 Grand Prix. She became the first woman to win a race in the Formula 1 support package, and the first Arab woman to win a Formula race car. So it's really interesting to see how her younger sister Hamda will do. I think Hamda had a great season in the Emirati-based Formula 4 Championship this winter. She won a couple of races, and she was consistently on the podium and could claim a lot of pole positions. Hamda is definitely one to watch. Let's see in a weekend where she already knows the racetrack how she will do. And so our colleague Vivian will be there to report from both the Formula Regional European Championship races with Jamie Chadwick and Hamda Al-Kubaisi in the Italian Formula 4.
That's really exciting. Doing breaking barriers essentially with getting into car racing, winning, something where, especially for the Middle Eastern area, a good positive role model. Now, of course, we do also have some racing that's going to be coming up in the Alpine Europa Cup over at Magna Game Course. Can you tell us more about the upcoming weekend over there?
Yeah, the Alpine Europa Cup is an interesting championship. It's a one-make series from the Renault brand Alpine. Of course, Alpine will be under the spotlight because obviously the Renault Formula One team has just been will be rebranded Alpine Formula One team from 2021. So I think the Alpine One Make series will get a little bit of more of media attention in the next coming races. Next weekend they will be at Manicourt together with the GT Challenge and the Formula Renault Euro Cup, where Vicky will be racing. Two female racers will be racing in Manicourt in the Alpine Europa Cup Championship. One is the Polish racer Gosia Dest. Gosia last year did W Series. She could not finish in the top 12 at the end of the season, so she was not confirmed mathematically for the 2020 season that obviously was cancelled, but she will not be on the 2021 grid. It was unlucky because Gosia was really consistent, was really fast, but she could ultimately not make it to the top 12 for a very, very small amount of points. I think 1 point. She missed 1 point, I think, at the end of the season. She was like P3 in Norris Ring in one practice session. So I mean, she missed out, even though she was competitive. And she was making her debut in Formula Cars last year in W Series, but she is a quite experienced GT and touring car driver. She's back in GT this year with the Alpine Europa Cup. And also she's contesting the Polish Touring Car Championship, where she finished second last time out at Tor Poznan in the second race of their championship. And the second female driver racing in Manicourt and the Alpine Europa Cup will be the 19-year-old French driver Lilou Badou. Lilou is a very young driver. She has raced in the past years in the Renault Clio Cup in France. She was competitive there, but she still has a quite relatively small experience in GT cars. Last weekend, in fact, she raced in a national endurance championship in the Alpine A110 car, which is the same car that is racing in the Alpine Europa Cup. And she entered the race basically just to make some more experience for the upcoming weekend in Manicourt. She did well. Last time in the first round of the Alpine Europa Cup, she was 7th, just 1 position ahead of Gosia, which is way more experienced. So I think Lilou is another young driver to look up for and to see how she will do at the end of the season.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting to see 19 years old, how she'll do this upcoming season. Very exciting stuff. So definitely we encourage everyone, be sure to subscribe to the Grid Network. We do this every Thursday. We'd love to have you come by, share, tell your friends, let them know that we're on the air every Thursday as well. We encourage everyone to visit on Twitter, Racers, the Girls Behind the Helmet. You can find them at Behind Helmet on Twitter. A lot of updates throughout the week, including some more updates as we get closer to race weekend, and great articles, great stories on all the racers. And definitely, I know as we go out the air, Daniel, is there any final words you'd like to say to our viewers today?
Sorry?
Is there any final words you'd like to say to our viewers today before we go off the air?
Well, to follow our channels and obviously also the Grid Network. Together, I think we will be bringing you some more updates throughout the weeks, week in and week out. I'm very excited to start this collaboration with you guys, and I think female in motorsport are a really growing trend, and we'll try to get more news as we go along.
Definitely, we're very excited to work with you. Encourage everyone to visit your website as well as Twitter, social media accounts on Instagram as well. Great stuff. And definitely support all the women that go out there racing week in and week out. For Daniel, I'm Joe over at the Grid Network. Thank you for watching today. Have a wonderful evening. We'll see you all next time.